Is the system we use to nominate presidential candidates broken? It's safe to say that the 2020 Iowa caucus was the very definition of a hot mess. It was certainly the most contentious Iowa caucus since the 2016 Iowa caucus. Every primary election cycle, we revisit the same conversations about reform. Should caucuses be scrapped? Should primaries be reordered? Should primaries even exist? What's so special about Iowa and New Hampshire that they always get to go first? Bear in mind, these largely white rural states are simply not representative of the Democratic Party or of America. So what? Well, these voters have outsized power in the process. They determine which candidates deserve a closer look, they say sayonara to losers, and they narrow the field. Votes casted by Iowans and New Hampshireites may have 5 times more impact than all others. Why is this bizarre system in place? Well, it wasn't always. At the turn of the 20th century, states started implementing state primaries to gauge the opinions of voters, but they were largely symbolic because party leaders still had the final say. Then came chaos at the 1968 Democratic Convention, when Hubert Humphrey secured the nomination without a single primary vote. After he lost to Nixon, Democratic voters were indignant, and so the party reluctantly yielded some elective power to the people. They instated binding primaries and caucuses nationwide, and the Republicans soon followed suit. Iowa's caucus process was so much more complex than others that they'd need more time to process the vote, so they moved it to January. Ever since, Iowa has had first-in-the-nation privilege. It's written in their state laws that Iowa and New Hampshire must come first. The DNC protects their positions. If the DNC can do that, surely it can command more significant changes. Illinois is often touted as an ideal starter with its diversity and urban-rural divide. But it's a big state, and that means it's harder for campaigns to reach voters organically. That's pretty much the same argument against a national primary. It's virtually impossible to make grassroots inroads across 50 states. It's difficult enough campaigning for Super Tuesday, the closest thing we have to a national primary. It would likely favor big personalities and rich candidates with budgets for ads and stadium-sized rallies. Other plans include rotating the small states and letting all the small states go first. But small states tend to be less diverse, and so we're back to square one. What about increasing turnout to get a fuller, more accurate sample of the will of the people? Mandatory voting is, well, mandatory in other democracies like Australia and Belgium. While this would increase voter turnout to the maximum, you may have uninformed or indifferent voters participating. A better route may be to make election days holidays, to allow those who are restricted or pressured by work to freely cast their ballots like everyone else. What about ranked choice voting, which would ensure winners have the approval of the majority? Maine will be using it for the general election, so we know it can be done. The main issue is that all these scenarios would need a buy-in from lots of players, not only the 2 national parties, which make the rules, but also the states which implement the rules.
Primaries are voted on and funded by the state legislatures. So in trying to shape them into some rational shape, you have to deal with 50 state legislatures.
That's Elaine Kmark. She's a member of the DNC Rules Committee. She says Democratic Party insiders are not so concerned with the changes we've discussed. They're increasingly favoring primary reform that's much more sweeping and controversial, and which is slowly gaining steam inside the machine.
Ultimately, we do want the voters to make the choice, but we also want the input from the people who govern with a president of the United States.
The proposal is this: party leaders, governors, and other stakeholders would vet candidates before they ran and issue them a vote of confidence or no confidence before voters head to the primary polls. It would serve as a reality check to make primaries serious again.
We have come in the 21st century into an era of celebrities getting into primaries, either people who are celebrities or people who want to be celebrities. In 2012, in the Republican side, we saw a pizza entrepreneur running for president. We also had a reality television star He had a simple idea: make Mexico pay for a wall on the southern border. This time we have people like Marianne Williamson, a spiritual guru. You have a nice young man named Andrew Yang, who puts out this idea that he's going to give everybody $1,000 a month. Neither of those two people belonged on a presidential stage.
Don't let the Yang Gang hear that. Those candidates would probably still be able to run, but they'd have red flags against their names for voters to consider. It's akin to peer reviews in other industries.
If you're going to have a surgery on your brain, you want not a neurosurgeon who's the most popular and who says the cutest things. You want a neurosurgeon who other neurosurgeons have said, oh yeah, this guy is qualified to crack your skull open.
Even more critical, it would gatekeep against dangerous demagogues. In 1924, Henry Ford of Ford Motors started campaigning for president. He ran his mouth a lot. He said unsavory things, many of them anti-Semitic, and had links to the KKK. He was incredibly popular with the public. But because the primaries had such little binding power then, he knew he had no path forward and bowed out. If any of that sounds at all familiar, scholars have compared Ford's core ideas to making America great again. Many Americans may find party intervention deeply troubling. Would Barack Obama, a relative upstart, have gotten the blessing of party leaders? And would he have found his footing without it? Would party insiders have given Bernie Sanders the stamp of approval this cycle? Wouldn't the status quo always win out? So maybe it's the very essence of American democracy for contenders to duke it out state by state, while hoping for some modest reform, at least to increase voter turnout. Most would agree that that starts with ditching caucuses, and that's already underway, with 10 caucus states from 2016 switching to primaries this time around. But until then, maybe this uncomfortable metaphor for the primaries from the DNC chair actually kind of should give us some faith in the process we have.
We've got a remarkably deep bench of candidates, and I encourage you to continue to get to know them, kick the tires, speed date multiple people at the same time, fall in love with multiple people, but in the end of the day, we will have one nominee.
We'll leave you to digest that awkward image until we see you next time.